Welcome to the Redirect Podcast, where we explore what comes after career. Real conversations about transitioning from the 9-to-5 grind to your next great adventure. Whether you're heading into retirement or simply redefining what purpose means, we're here to inspire, inform, and help you reimagine what's next. This isn't the end of the road. It's the start of something new. Gentlemen, it's another day of the Redirect Podcast. Tell me what's going on in your worlds.
It's summer, for us, and we're excited about the fact that we're in that time of year, which allows me to be outside, which I love to do, and just looking forward to all outside activities.
Yeah, for me, I've got a lot going on with work. I've got a lot of busy things happening. My workload is increasing, and so it's a busy time for me with work, and trying to find some time for the summer is a bit of a struggle right now. So, but we'll figure it.
Are you excited about what's happening at work?
Yeah, I would say it's cool. I got some cool stuff going on. My tasks, my projects, if you will, are pretty fun, pretty interesting, and I get to be on top of them, which is rewarding to me. The volume is a bit challenging, but normal, right?
That's what keeps driving you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel for you. And I've sensed that your workload has increased, and I remember those days, and I don't miss them. If there's anything that Dale and I can do just to say, come out of the tunnel, come out for a little bit, let's meet for lunch or something. Let us do that for you, because I remember that when you're just so entrenched with what's going on in your work world that you always got to find some summer. There's no doubt.
Well, summer was what I was going to do on Saturday and Sunday. It's interesting because I have yet to find anybody actually look at me, and this is something you get to look forward to, Adam. That said, I wished I worked another day. I wished I had not retired when I did. Everybody seems to be really happy with retirement, redirection. They don't say anything about wishing they were working another day or another week or another year.
Well, I want to throw out something today for us to have a conversation about. On today's Redirect Podcast, I'd like to sort of talk about the state of a satisfaction. And what is that state? And the words I'm going to use, I just want to see where we go with it in regard to contentment versus complacency. In our recent episode where we sort of did our checkup on where Dale and I are in retirement, the word contentment came out a lot. And I'm just sort of curious on, when I say those two words to you, or let's just start with contentment. Adam, what does contentment mean to you? Where do you see it? What is it? How do you get there? Just give me a little rundown.
Oh, I have very strong opinions about this. And I haven't run into a lot of people who think about it or choose to express it in this way, that contentment is the goal of life. As far as your personhood and your mental well-being, your sense of accomplishment and satisfaction in life is directly proportional to how content you are with where you are today.
Dale?
When you say contentment, I tell you, that's a very personal thing to me. It's content for Dale. I think about, what does content look like for me? When I hear the word complacent, I think more about what's societal. That's a bigger issue. I'm content to move. I'm content to be ADD. I'm going to be ADD. That's me. And contentment for me is being in a really good place for Dale, recognizing who I am, what I have, the gifts I have, that God gave me. I'm using those, and that's probably a good one. Is, I believe, for me, contentment reflects the gifts that God gave me and me using them.
Like that. To me, contentment is something that I'm still trying to achieve. It's hard for me because I don't take time to reflect on what's been done. I'm always looking forward. which in my mind is sort of the part of being content, is that you're striving, you're pushing yourself, you're recognizing that there's something potentially even better than what you have. And let's admit it, the country we live in, the lifestyles that we've led, we are very fortunate and we are very thankful. And I'm
Mhm.
very grateful that life has turned out as it is. Yes, there's bumps in the road. Yes, there's issues in our life that have happened, but in the big picture of things, we're very, very fortunate in how we live. But finding that at the current moment, just saying like, I am really content. I don't have that.
Do you see that as something worth striving for?
Well, yes, but for me, I don't know if I can achieve it because my character is always, as I said earlier, striving for the next thing, finding out what the next level of contentment would be. This is fine, but there's got to be more. But if I look back and what I've been and what I am, I'm very fortunate. I'm very, I've got a good thing
Mhm.
going, but there's more. I always feel there's more. And I don't take time to sit in it of being like, oh, I'm content. No, I want to be more content.
I have a quote for you. I want to be more content is an hysterical comment.
Welcome to my world, man.
So, so I have a quote for you, and I want to because I want to challenge you on that. Um, is that without contentment, ambition becomes an addiction. Wanting more contentment isn't contentment.
Cool.
So to that point, because Fran, who has been on our podcast before, bumps through life, and I will say, oh my gosh, I've got to go achieve this next thing. I've got to go find that next thing that I think would bring me more contentment. And now I'm learning how to live more in the present and reflecting on what have I achieved and what more do I want to achieve? And for me to realize, wow, to have a great family and to have the ability to be free and do things that we want to do, learn how to play golf, etc. I've got to be content with a lot of that and be okay with it. And that being okay with it and be living in the present prevents me from forgetting all about it and trying to achieve that next thing. I'm learning how to pull back, I guess, and to be more content.
Well,
Curt,
Adam, your comment is, I guess I'm addicted.
possibly.
I'm addicted to ambition. I mean, Dale sort of when Dale made a comment, it made me come to that decision. Is that even though I am pushing myself and I'm working hard to be in the moment, I'm not in the moment as much as I should, and which will lead to contentment. I'm always have this ambitious nature in me to move forward, to go next. What's next? What's up next? What do we got to do next? Where are we going with this? Where is this going to go from? And looking at the definition, while you guys were talking, I got online and looked at what's the definition of contentment from the source that I found, which was on Google. It said a feeling of satisfaction and peace with one's current circumstances, possessions, or achievements. I don't spend time at my current position. I'm always looking for the next thing. So, yeah, I'm an addict. My name is Curt Brewer, and I'm an ambition addict.
But the worded definition was a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling. Can you accept, Curt, having achieved what you've achieved so far, being thankful for the family you have? Can you have you know contentment is that feeling of, wow, I'm okay with that. I recognize that I'm okay, and I think I'm hearing that you don't think about that.
I have to
That you're
force
looking for the
myself.
next thing.
I have to
Yeah,
force myself to sit in that, to sit
yeah,
in that.
yeah.
Well, let me try to give you some framework, at least to the way I look at this, because I love the sense of contentment that I have. I'm not suggesting I execute this perfectly every moment, every day. I can myself fall into the trap of comparison. I wish I had a bigger this. I wish I had a fancier that. I wish I had more of something else. So that sense of satisfaction with the things that I have is a wrestling match for people who are a touch more materialistic. That notwithstanding, the scales I'd like to set in, hopefully set in balance. If the scales are perfectly balanced, then you have achieved contentment. If you are out of balance, you might be weighted more towards complacency or ambition. In either way you fall, you are discontent. Now, ambition is a wonderful thing. The notion of the definition of what you shared, a word that I heard that I think is really important, is current. That you have a current feeling of satisfaction, I think is what you said. Well, contentment can only be realistically a gauge of how you feel about today, how you feel about right now. Do you have ambition to have tomorrow or 3 years from now to be at a different state, to be doing something differently? Contentment is a gauge for satisfaction today.
I agree with you, but I don't sit in today as much as I should. That's my point. So contentment to me is something that I know it's happening when I sit and think about it, but I don't think about it. I don't dwell on it, and I need to, because that could help Curt stop being Curt.
Well, Kurt's a wonderful guy, so we don't
Well,
want that.
yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, and yes, I am. But I'm missing out. There's a word in there that can be associated with contentment, and that is joy. And joy to me has a lot deeper meaning than contentment. And joy is something that, if I'm not content with myself right now, how much further away am I to joy?
Time for a quick break. Hello. If you're liking what you're hearing, do us a quick favor. Hit that follow button, share it with your friends and family, drop us a quick comment, and then a 5-star review. It really helps us keep going and growing. Then head over to Instagram and follow us there too. Thanks for the help. And now let's get back to work.
Yeah, I think contentment and joy can be sister statements of satisfaction. I am content with where God has brought me. I am content with what he has given me, the provision, the blessing. I'm content with that. Now that I am content with that, I can experience joy. I think contentment is an enabler to joy.
I think joy is the result of contentment. I think it's the gift that comes from it. As you were talking about ambition and contentment, I need to regulate my ambition, and I'm learning how to regulate my ambition. I strive to be 70, 80% content, and that ambition there's always going to be that DNA piece. That's the ambition. That's the drive for something new, something bigger, something better, is how we've lived and how we've done everything that we've done so far. And I think regulating that is something that I got to continue to work on.
So, with all this being said, does contentment lead to complacency?
No.
Well, Adam, in thinking about that comment I just made, I now think that there is some difference of opinion, because maybe that's why I don't feel content, and I'm more ambitious, because if I am content, then I stop, because I'm going to sit in being content. Everything is good. So let's just sit here and be in it. And I'm going to be sitting on the couch more and saying, it's all good. I've got my health. I'm enjoying my family. I'm very happy. I'm in the moment. I'm right here. I'm right here and now. So now all of a sudden, I think I'm becoming complacent, and that life is good. Life is good. And I'm just going to hang out right here, right where I am, because I'm content.
Dale?
Go, Adam. No, it's bubbling out of you. I want to.
I know. I don't want to cut you off.
I'm dying to hear more. But before, let's set this stand. You went and looked up contentment on Google, Adam or Curt. Did you look up complacency, and how are they different for Google?
I did. And the definition for complacency is a state of self-satisfaction, similar to contentment. Often, that's not in the definition, I'm drawing that analogy, often
Mm-hmm.
accompanied by a lack of awareness of potential dangers, deficiencies, or need for improvement.
Huh.
And this is why I don't. This is why I don't think contentment leads by default leads to complacency. Here, because
Don't
there,
you feel? Don't you
Okay.
feel in conversation and vocabulary today that it's somewhat interchangeable? I can be content, and I'm going to be complacent with my contentness.
this is why I have such strong opinions about it, and why I think contentment is the goal, is because contentment has been co-opted by a misassociation with complacency. So, complacency has a negative connotation, and I think it should have a negative connotation because that is the raw root definition of the word, and it's a statement of being that we should strive to work against. Complacency, I don't think is a good thing, because I can draw the comparison with one simple question. Are you where God wants you to be? Okay, if you are happy with where you are, and the answer to the question is, I'm not where God wants me to be, you are complacent, and that is a bad thing. If you are happy with where you are, and the answer to the question is, yes, I am where God wants me to be, settle into contentment. It's a wonderful thing. If time goes by and what God wants you to be doing is something different, then maybe that's an opportunity for ambition to go accomplish where God wants you to be, where God wants you to be doing, so that you can move towards contentment in that.
So ambition's a good thing. Ambition's a good thing
It is.
to be used to achieve contentment. So I shouldn't feel bad. I shouldn't feel bad about having that ambition because it's going to drive me to contentment if I am going for what God's plan is
If God's
for
plan
me.
for you moves from to what you are and what you have today, then you need to
Mm-hmm.
employ some ambition to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
is future contentment. If you are where you're supposed to be, and that isn't moving, God isn't saying go do, go be, go grow. If you are where God wants you to be and you want more that God doesn't want for you, you could be employing ambition to drive you out of contentment into a place where God doesn't want you to be. This is where ambition can become a taskmaster and a driver to discontentment.
I can relate to that. My feeling, you've heard me say it, when is enough enough? Am I where God wants me to be? Yes, this is where I am. Was I in a place that things were not going well, and that's where God wanted me to be? Yes, because I had to learn something from it, or I had to experience it, or I had to feel grief, or I had to deal with patience and being a better person. You know, don't rock the boat. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Those to me are examples of complacency.
Okay.
And think about situations where I've had many conversations with many people, and you hear these generic phrases like, happy wife, happy life. And I just do what they tell me to do. Well, are you content with that, or are you just being complacent? Because you're just following through. You're just there. You're going with whatever is happening because you don't want to disrupt the apple cart. That's complacency. That is just, you're just going through the motions, and you're not moving forward. You're not improving. You're not changing. You're not evolving. You're not. Now, that's the thing that pushes me. There's the ambition part, because I'm always striving to be better. I'm always striving to look out at other people, and to be serving, and to be helpful, and to be available. But I'm not taking the time to say, because it's never done. It's never done. So contentment to me is something to strive for. It's like perfection. I will never be perfect, but I am striving for that, and I'm getting closer, not to being perfect, but I'm improving myself. Where's Dr. Kip when we need him?
We'll call him in. Don't worry. We're going to have men on this one because he'll have a field day with this one. I reflect on this conversation made me think about the quote from Gil Hopkins that I saw at Crossroads on Sunday. This life ain't about playing it safe or staying clean. It's about charging hard, getting scarred, up for the kingdom, sliding into heaven, worn out, mud on your face, blood on your knuckles, and fire in your bones, shouting, "Holy shit, Lord, what a ride." That doesn't feel, if you were to say, hey, is that sound like contentment or does that sound like complacency? It's not complacency.
Mm-mm.
It's contentment with knowing you've run hard, and you need ambition to do that. You need a little fire in your belly to slide into that final space. And I think that's the fun, adventurous opportunity we have, is charging toward not my definition of contentment, but what God's definition of contentment is going to be for me. I'm never going to be 100%. I'm human. I'm broken. I'm going to run into a lot of stuff, but it's having the drive, and contentment is not inactive.
No.
Complacency is inactive.
Stagnation and complacency go hand in hand.
Agree.
But if you are doing what God wants you to be doing,
mm-hmm.
and if that means charging or being still or retreating, whatever instruction from God looks like in your life, if you're doing that, know that you can be happy with what you're doing and how you're doing it and who you are doing it. If you're following that path, that's a wonderful thing.
Let's think of an athlete. All right, I'm a Buffalo Bill fan. We made it to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row and never won it. The last 2 years, the Edmonton Oilers have made it to the Stanley Cup final and they haven't won it. Are they content? No. We got to get better. But you can be content by saying, well, look, the Edmonton Oilers saying we're the Western champion for 2 years in a row. And the Buffalo Bills, we're the AFC champion for 4 years in a row. But we still didn't get it. We still didn't get what we worked for. We still didn't do. So can we take time to say, wow, look at how content we are? Because that to me is like slipping into complacency.
That's why I don't think you can apply a competitive sports mindset to living life. Because somebody
That's
wins.
my world, man. That's my world.
Well, I wonder why you struggle with contentment.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that, okay, you need to help me more, Dale and Adam, so that I can be content, because I don't take time to reflect on the contentment aspect of things because there's still things to be done.
Sure.
And I'm not settling for being that, because that all of a sudden makes me, in my mind, complacent.
You can't look at living day by day life like a championship run, because in the championship analogy, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Somebody wins and somebody loses. That is not the way I choose to live my life. I don't win by somebody else losing. And just because I had a bad day or didn't quite achieve what I could have doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a loser. So I think it's a misnomer to apply sports teams' winnings and losings and championships and failures to personal life and trying to accomplish a goal for God in living how I'm supposed to be living.
Okay, I hear you. And every time you say the God thing, then yes, there's contentment. All right. But then again, I ask you in your work world. Okay, let's not talk about an athlete. Let's talk about you in the work world. Are you content in your work world? Do you have contentment as an employee?
Yeah, I think I do a good job.
Are you complacent as an employee? Has some of that contentment or those successes gotten you to the point where, like, hey, I'm going to coast? I had a great month last month, or I had a great year last year. Let's just let the system work, and I'm not going to be as fired up. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because I need to, and so I'm just going to sort of I don't want to, I'm not going to say coast because you're not a coasting kind of guy,
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
not
like,
me. But
I'm not going to,
even if you did, sometimes that's healthy. Your approach to how you lean into the next couple of days is different than how you feel about where you are today.
okay. So from what you just said and from what we've sort of talked about, contentment is a feeling of satisfaction at the moment.
Yes.
Complacency is a feeling, well, actually, it says a state of self satisfaction forever. I mean, forward.
Again, I double back to the question, am I where God wants me to be? If I'm happy where I am and I am where God wants me to be, revel in contentment. If I am happy where I am and I'm not where God wants me to be, you are living a life of complacency. And I'm excited about making that application to retirement in a living a life of redirection. If people, especially for folks who have been retired for a little while, I would imagine it's easy to achieve a level of stasis that is just coasting through, waiting for life to be no more, and you're just, I won't say living, you're just waiting. And is that what God wants for your life? And if the answer is yes, okay. But if God could be using you for something more in life, and you are happy where you are, you, friend, are living in complacency.
Well, you're still running, you're still ambitious, you're still, achieving, and again, you're running after God's plan, and we're going to talk, I'm sure, a lot about that in the future. But as long as I think you have to have the ambition to do the work to know what God's plan is, and once you do that, then everything you're doing, whether it's, I don't know, it's active, the results are going to come. I mean, you guys were talking about winning and losing, and I agree. I don't think it's about winning or losing. It's about continuing the adventure, continue the destiny. It's not the destination; it's the journey, and we've got to be on His plan and His journey, and being one with that is contentment. I would agree.
I mean, another little comment that I saw in that article concerning contentment, it has listed as a positive aspect. And it says
Mm-hmm.
appreciation, find joy in the present moment, and experience gratitude. I
Yeah,
agree with that. I agree with that.
I have a very good friend of mine who lives in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and joy is anytime he sees the word joy, he takes a picture of it and sends it to me. And it was kind of a mantra that his wife who passed lived by. And it's more of that resulting word. It's not, hey, I'm striving for joy. Joy is a gift that's going to come from doing the things that we should be doing, and that fits into that contentment bucket. I just love the word joy. I mean, but I think that's a result. That's a gift that comes from it.
So, what's a takeaway on this? We've played the word game. I've played the word game, contentment, complacency. What's the takeaway, Adam? Because I feel you've got a good grip on this. You've sort of mentioned it during our conversation that there's this element of God that is key and pivotal in this feeling of contentment.
I think the takeaway, and I alluded to it just a moment ago, as it relates to the Redirect podcast and serving those people who are trying to find purpose in retirement. If you are coasting through life in your retirement period, ask yourself, does God have more for you? Is He done with you? Is He done doing anything with your life, with your time, with your heart? I can't believe the answer is yes to that question for anyone still alive. But since the answer is probably no, God isn't done with you. Do you have any ambition to move towards what God has for you?
Awesome. But yeah, that's a good way to wrap it up. The funny word that we've been using is ambition, by the way. And ambition's got a lot of negative connotations to it.
Agreed.
I think it's a great drive, but I think ambition seems to always be striving for me, myself. And it's not. It's just, I think it's a gift that God gives us. And I think more basically just about God has blessed us with gifts, and if we're truly using them, we're going to continue using them. We're going to look for ways to use them, which means the work's not done, which to me is becoming complacent. So contentment is knowing I'm utilizing the gifts that God gave me to achieve his plan in my life, and that's going to continue on.
I love that.
And just for those listeners at home, the definition for ambition is a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. And I think we all have to be ambitious in doing what God wants us to do and get off the couch.
In our retirement. Yeah.
And get off the couch and go do something about it.
What a great end to a podcast. Get up off the couch and go do something about it.
If you enjoyed today's episode, you can find more of our content on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as Instagram. Have questions or want to connect? Drop us a line at info@redirect-u.com. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, there's purpose in your life, so find it and go do something.